So the game finished 2-0 Liverpool away to Ipswich. Arne Slot's first game in charge properly, officially. First 3 points, first win for a Liverpool manager on the opening day of the season since 1998. Mind you, we've had Benitez, Hodgson, Rodgers, Klopp, 4 managers since 1998. Proper ones, that is. I think Kenny Dalglish did take over for a bit, but he didn't start a full season. So, 4 managers. None of them had one on the opening day, but Arne Slot has. So, big ups to him. And a part of that was the substitution that he did at halftime, which brought Quansah off and brought Ibrahim Konate on to win the aerial duels that would allow us to regain possession of the ball and play from the back, hit the counterattacks, etc., because Quansah was losing more than half of his duels, so say the stats. Now, some outlets want to make it a thing, make it like some controversy, that this was not so much a travesty, but, why is he doing this to a young player? Look at him. I love how he said, I'm the reason why the game changed. I'm the reason why we ended up winning that game. And like in some effect, it is because of him. His substitutions are what matters. He is the coach. He dictates who starts the game, who finishes the game, who plays where on the pitch, who has what role to perform. If he says to Gravenberch, you're going to stay DM, Gravenberch has to stay DM. If it doesn't stay DM, that's going to be part on the player, part on the manager for not adhering to what he's asked for, and the manager for maybe putting in a player that was incapable of performing the task that he asked for. So, just as an example. Now, TalkSport, bless them, they I don't even know what to say about these guys, but in any case, TalkSport here, you got Barry Glendenning, and you've also got Mr. Max Rushton here. Just listen to what they say about Arne Slot and the substitution.
Well, and Liverpool played really well in the second half. And I did like that Arne Slot really congratulated himself for his halftime substitution.
Yes.
He was like, what really changed the game in this match was me. Yeah. And long may that continue. I mean, I don't know a lot about Arne Slot, but I hope he's... Yes.
I will just throw Quansah under the bus while I clap myself on the back for my wonderful substitution.
When Jota scored and it crashed to the bench, Quansah, everyone else was celebrating. Quansah was just sitting there, just looking
seething,
really annoyed. And fair enough, right? I don't think he had a particularly bad half at all. But they were much better in the second half. That's
that one done, yeah? That's that one done. We'll come back to this. Oddly enough, by the way, I noticed this. No comments are permitted, which is a bit weird. Very rarely do you see a TalkSport video with comments turned off. I've only seen that once before, and that was when... Who's that former female Manchester United player, whatever she is, Anne Saunders, is that her name? Something Saunders. She had a wild take during the Euros, and the backlash was massive, and the comments were turned off. I've only seen it once, so I'm not sure if that's done on purpose or by accident, but in any case, we move on. The second bit here is from The Rest is Football between Lineker, Shearer and Richards, and let's hear what they had to say about the substitution.
It was interesting talking about Arne Slot and that change he made at half time, because he talked about it. I've got a quote here. He went, the first thing I said, we don't have to speak about tactics if you lose so many duels. Jarrell lost every duel. Many of us lost too many duels. We needed Konate to win the long balls for the number 9. That gave us control. Now that's speaking out publicly about, a player's performance is not something that you would have ever heard, I don't think, from Jurgen Klopp. So there's already a slight difference there. I'm always slightly nervous when managers or coaches are publicly critical of their players. So, but if that's his style,
it wasn't an experienced player, though, was it? It was
correct. I
just wonder whether.
Why does Richards look like he's streaming from a Nokia 7210 from 2005? What the hell is that quality?
I'm not sure you've done that with an experienced player. It's easier to do it with a younger player than it is a big hitter.
But that's why it's worth pointing out that he did.
Yeah. To be fair, it worked. The decision worked.
It worked. There you go. It worked. It was a bit weird to do it with an inexperienced player. He would never have done it with a big hitter. Oh, how people have such short memories. Let me refresh your mind right now. 2017, it's October. It's Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool taking on Tottenham Hotspur at Wembley. I think it was. They were playing at Wembley at the time. And we ended up getting pumped 4-1. We were losing 3-0, I think, by the 30th minutes. And one down, Loven was our defender at the time. Like I said, the rest is football podcast. I reckon Klopp would never do such a thing to an inexperienced player or call them out for their performances. But let me cast you to this. So this is from 23rd of October 2017. Klopp turns on Lovren after, quote, really bad defending, unquote, in Liverpool's Spurs humiliation. A sloppy mistimed header from the defender allowed Spurs to double their lead early on at Wembley, and he earned his manager's wrath for the blooper. He got subbed in the 30th minute, and there's a bit here. It says here, the first goal was a little throw-in and we were not really there. It was just bad defending. Told after the final whistle. It says here Lovren watched the last two strikes from the bench after being subbed after 30 minutes. So it was 2-0, not 3-0. And his manager admitted the defender's performance was not up to scratch. In the second counter-attack, the ball passed Lovren. It's already too late. Klopp said, if I am involved in this situation on the pitch, then Harry cannot get the ball. So Klopp said, if I'm playing in Lovren's position, Kane is not getting to this ball. So that's pretty damning if you ask me. For them to say Klopp will never do such a thing is already lies, because the proof is right here. We're looking at it here right now. It says here, Klopp, however, underlined that despite Lovren's mistakes, it was the team as a whole that failed at Wembley. Now we have to realise we are responsible for this and nobody else. Blah, blah, blah. Of course, as we all know, Lovren missed a whole bunch of games. He deactivated his social media. He had abuse and threats and all sorts of madness from that performance, which I think is just absolutely dumb and ridiculous. No player should ever be subject to that sort of barrage of abuse, and that happened. And look, he came back stronger, ended up playing in many important matches, obviously winning the Premier League with us, Champions League, among many other trophies. So it wasn't all doom and gloom. Now, to take it back to the Jarrell Quansah situation, as I said, Klopp hooked Lovren after the 30th minute, and he was right to do so. And, he was an experienced player. He still got hooked. Didn't mean anything that he was an experienced player. Didn't say, we'll let him kick on, he'll get better. He saw it wasn't working, he took him off. Now, as for the Arne Slot comment from Barry Glendenning and from Max Rushton, where I love how he applauded himself and he congratulated himself for the result in a way, whatever it was. It's like, he is the manager. I mean, if your player isn't performing, you change him up, you change tactics, you tell him to do something different. That's one of the reasons why you make substitutions. Slot did what a manager or a coach is supposed to do. Change when things are not working out. I don't know what else you want this guy to do. Quansah was seen on the bench upset. Sure, we don't know if that was himself reflecting on his performance. Maybe he had a talk at halftime. Maybe he thought, why am I being subbed? I didn't deserve to be subbed. Maybe he's annoyed with himself. Nobody knows for sure. But if a youngster does well, and I've noticed this with many other youngsters coming through the academies to the first teams, not just Liverpool, but other places as well. If a youngster does well, they get praised and they say they can kick it with the big boys. But when it doesn't work out so well, they always say, well, they're young, they're still learning, they're inexperienced, so you must cut them some slack. I don't buy that shit. I don't buy that shit. If you're going to perform in the first team, then you're going to have to cop it like a first teamer would. You're not performing, you're going to be benched. You're going to miss out. Doesn't matter that you're young. He's played enough games to know what it takes to play in this Liverpool team. He's played pre-season. He knows what Slot wants. He played under Klopp. Klopp brought him through. He knows the standards of Liverpool Football Club, so I'm not buying that. And it wasn't that he had a bad game. It's just specifically the long balls were not being met in the aerial duel section by Quansah, so he brought in Kanate to deal with that. That's all it was. And if he didn't rate him to begin with, why would he have even started him? You'd much rather have started Kanate and then brought on Quansah later on if he needed to. It doesn't make sense. And he didn't throw Quansah under the bus. They literally asked the question, subbed at halftime. Well, we weren't getting the aerial duels, and Quansah was under a bit of pressure, so he wasn't getting to them. So I decided to take him off, bring on Kanate to solidify that, and that helped us, win the balls and then get up the pitch and score the goals that we did, and it ended up working out. So I don't see what's wrong with that. It's not like a Ten Hag situation with Sancho where he literally cussed out the player and said, he's not training well and he's not being the best and it's all this, or he left him out for tactics and etc. etc. It's a very different situation there. He didn't do anything wrong per se, but the duels were not being won. So I don't know where these people are getting these notions of that there is some controversy, or it makes me nervous when a manager does these sorts of things. So if a player's not performing, they're going to get subbed. It's as simple as that. That's all it was. Now, the other thing we need to speak about is this whole Liverpool transfer policy, or what is happening at the moment at the club, because as it stands, we still have no signings coming in. We have players going out, potentially another player going out, which I'm going to speak about in a moment here. But this is now becoming another comical farce here. Mamardashvili at Valencia, they're holding out for 40 million euros. So it says here, this is from a reporter by the name of Hector Gomez. Says Valencia have informed Mamardashvili and his entourage, who are the ones putting pressure, that either Liverpool reach 40 million euros or he stays at Valencia. And there was talk of them signing him and then being sent out on loan for the season and coming in next season. No idea what is happening at the moment here, but this is just another example of Liverpool's business not going to plan at all. Players going out, no players coming in at the moment. Goalkeeper is the last position we probably need right here, right now. We do need a centre-back, definitely a DM, and a forward as well. Definitely, that's what we need. 3 players. If those 3 players came in before the window ends, or say season, bloody hell, before the window ends, maybe we can do something in this upcoming campaign, or the campaign that started now. But this is just becoming another farce. First it was 30, then it was 35, now it's 40. Apparently they're trying for 35. Valencia want 40. FSG, Hughes, Edwards, whoever it is, they don't want to put forward the money for this, so it's going to be a bit of a tug and war situation. So it's going to be another shit show by the looks of things. Another player Liverpool couldn't pull, or Liverpool couldn't sign. But the thing is, Mamardashvili wants to come to Liverpool. He's already said, I want to. It's down to Valencia now to try and come up with a fee to get him out here. And I suppose, why are we so skint? Hughes, the worst sporting director this club has ever had. He's tarnishing the Liverpool name worldwide. Can FSG pay that amount? Spanish clubs are shocking to deal with. I think that's maybe. I mean, even Mikel Merino from Real Sociedad with the whole Arsenal situation, even that's taken how long for that to develop now? So I don't know. Liverpool holding out on 5 mil. Wouldn't surprise me if it's another Lavia all over again. Yeah, if you're holding out for 5 mil, it's probably done and dusted. I don't see this happening. It would have happened already if that was the case. But the other thing I want to reference, the more important situation, for me at least, is this here. Because Joe Gomez did not play, didn't even travel with the squad for Ipswich. It says Joe Gomez looking at transfer options, didn't travel with the squad today. That is from Paul Joyce. And that was on the 17th when we played. And it's telling that they're more than likely or more than willing to move Joe Gomez on, when I think that he's been a staple of this club for the better part of almost a decade, it seems now. And even though he hasn't really had his main opportunity in the last couple of seasons, last season, utility man, season before that, had injuries, still played here and there. But we'll never forget the 1920 campaign. He and Van Dijk as that centre-back partnership, absolute bosses for the league win. And you have to say it was a fantastic partnership. I think they had 28 wins or something like that. And no 1 or 2 losses or whatever it was, or something ridiculous. I can't even remember the numbers. But this would be very sad, at least sentimentally, if Joe Gomez goes, because I do think he's a player that we can use and we can utilise, because we see how good he is. But apparently Aston Villa lurking around, Newcastle United and some other clubs. And interestingly enough, Aston Villa, it says here, as Aston Villa are eyeing Joe Gomez, it says here, Mark Gahey is appreciated by clubs including Liverpool, who are addressing centre-back options in the case of both Joe Gomez and Sepp Vandenberg, in case they leave. As it stands, Newcastle are the only club in meaningful talks, and that is from the Bomberman himself, David Ornstein. So not sure what's going to happen at the moment, but if Mark Gahey is maybe keen on a move to Liverpool, do we then do it as a player and cash deal and sell Joe Gomez across? Because we need a centre-back to cover. We've got Van Dijk, Quansah, Kanate. Gomez would have been the 4th centre-back. As it stands, if he's not going to be at the club, we're going to need somebody to fill in the gaps. Definitely going to need one of them players. So a bit of a sticky situation at the moment, but yeah, the Gomez situation as well, I'm not particularly happy about it, but you know what, if it comes to pass that he goes, then he goes, and unfortunately there's nothing we can do to stand in his way. I would wish him all the very best. Thank you for your service and your years at Liverpool Football Club. Hopefully you enjoyed your time with us, and I wish you all the best in the future, because he's still in his mid to late 20s. He's still got a lot of football ahead of himself, and he's too good to be on the bench, and he's too good to just be playing big games here and there. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it'll be tough if it does go at least. Now, with keeping with the transfer theme, players in, players out, etc., etc., the players we have at the moment are very good. I think we've seen that, keeping the same players relatively from last season, obviously losing a few, Matip going, Thiago going. We still have the core of what we had, but the other problem is the players that have not re-signed. So Van Dijk, Trent, Alisson, and Mo Salah. Very important players to this Liverpool squad. Maybe they're looking to see how the first 10 games go under Slot, maybe to see what the season is going to be like after a month or two. Maybe wait for the Champions League nights to come into effect, see how we play there, and then they're going to think about it. FSG, Hughes, Edwards, whoever's looking after this, what's the hold up? What are we waiting for to speak to our players and say, look, we want to sign you up for another 1 year, 2 year, whatever it is, because fucked if we're going to let Trent leave on a free to Real Madrid next season. Fucked if we're going to let Salah leave on a free to another club. Van Dijk, Alisson, and the rest. Players of importance. Yeah, Joker, man on a post up there, he says, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And I want to add, if you have something of value, never give it away. You always want to make some money off of it, at least in my opinion. So we need to sort something out with these players, because if they go next season, then it could be curtains for us, and we're going to have to start rebuilding one more time at Liverpool Football Club and rebuild our spine again with the goalkeeper, the centre-back, a pivotal player. Say Trent is not really a midfielder, but they say the midfielder is good, which we'll get to in a moment here, which leads to what I'm going to get to. But then the forward line as well with Salah. So 4 key players, you need to have them on lock, down pat. Now, what I say, we're going to get to this. Well, we had Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville giving their 24-25 season predictions on Monday Night Football on Sky. And effectively, it was interesting to say the least. So as you're looking on screen here, you can see Jamie reckons Man City will win. Gary thinks Arsenal will take it. Gary also says that Man City will be second, Manchester United third, and Chelsea fourth, with Liverpool in fifth. And Cara says Arsenal second, Liverpool third, Tottenham Hotspur fourth, with Man U in fifth. Well, let's see why Gary thinks Man U will finish third as opposed to Liverpool at the moment.
Of the team, do you think are Manchester United superior to Liverpool?
I love how Cara just turned around and just started looking at him.
I wouldn't say they're superior in respect of sort of like a particular area. I think Liverpool have got a better team than Manchester United.
You've got them 2 places higher.
So if Liverpool have got a better team, you think Man United got a better squad?
I think Manchester United have got. Liverpool have got far better forwards. That is the thing that they do have. I think in midfield, if I look at Manchester United's midfield players, if you add, I think, equal coaches, and we don't know what Eric Ten Hag and Arne Slot are going to sort of match up like, I do think Liverpool with if they've got Endo, Szoboszlai and McAllister, that they've done unbelievably well to get the performance levels out of those 3 that they have, Jurgen Klopp.
Bro, McAllister is a World Cup winner and a Copa America winner. What drugs is Neville on? Of course he's going to be a good player. Now, it's easy to say, yeah, but bit players have won, Champions Leagues and trophies throughout the years as well. But this guy was pivotal. He was a starting player. He is needed for this Argentinian team. The disrespect here, McAllister. Come on, brother.
I really do question that midfield is going to stand up throughout a season.
Well, and to be fair as well, it's not Endo. Gravenberch is in the picture now. Elliott is starting to put his foot forward as well. Jones is available. This is why we say we need another midfielder. We need another midfielder in this area here. Endo ain't going to play. Slot hasn't played him so far. I'll be surprised if he plays him this season, maybe in a cup game, maybe bring him on to waste time in the last. We're winning a game 5-0. Touch wood, and he's going to bring him on to waste time. Maybe that's what's going to happen. Szoboszlai needs to pick up form. He started the season well. He had decent preseason. The first half against Ipswich wasn't the best. Second half was better, but we need more from him still. So Gary Neville already off the bat, I think he's just wrong with the assessment of those midfielders he has so selectively chosen.
If it does again, take my hat off to them. Well done, unbelievable. Prove me wrong. I think Manchester United have got more in midfield. I think they've got more depth, and they've got good players in there.
That was Manchester United's biggest problem last year, midfield. The hole in the middle of the pitch.
It was the structure of the midfield. Kobe Mainoo's coming into that now alongside Casemiro. Fernandes is in there. Mason Mount's in there. McTominay's in there. They've got 5 players in there that I think...
Bro, United fans were cussing out McTominay to the teals. Mason Mount was not even wanted to start, not even wanted on the bench. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Casemiro needs help around him. Maino's 18 years old. You're asking an 18, 19-year-old to boss a midfield. Come on, bro.
How many are you going to play? You just named 6 players there.
They've got more depth in there.
I started something there. Let's finish off the top 6.
So because they got more depth in the midfield, all of a sudden, they're going to finish in better positions. I mean, as far as we know, Ten Hag still has no idea what to do with that midfield. Yeah, they won against Fulham the other day. They got Brighton this week, and that's going to be an interesting game for them. I wonder what's going to happen once they take to the pitch in that case, in that situation there. I'm not sure what the actual go is going to be because I don't know how they're going to play. Are they going to do well? Are they going to capitulate? Brighton looked good on the weekend. They look like they're in for a bit of a zesty season, it has to be said. Now, but in saying that, let's look at Manchester United's squad just now because I think it is fair to point out, he pointed out midfielders. Well, let's have a look at the midfielders here. So I'm not doing a comparison. He says the midfield is probably going to get United through. They've got a better midfield, more depth. Okay, well, Collier, youngster, Mason Mount, unwanted by the fans. Fernandes, they're arguably their best player. Christian Eriksen. A lot of people say he's finished. A lot of people say he can't run, but there's still a player in there somewhere. Casemiro, is he on his last legs? Does he need more help around him? Pelistri barely plays. McTominay, nobody wants to see him start. They want to sell this player. Hannibal, Mejbri, barely see him play. Daniel Gore doesn't even have a display picture, and Kobe Mainoo, arguably the best youngster at the moment, alongside maybe Yoro, who is injured at the moment. So yes, while they have more in the midfield, fair enough, but do they have the better players? That is the question mark. I think it's safe to say Liverpool's midfield has definitely outplayed them because we've got Szoboszlai, captain of Hungary, took them to the Euros, bummed out in the Euros, it has to be said. Didn't have the best of the second half of last season, but he can improve on that. McAllister, Brighton, one of the standout players alongside Caicedo, playing in a Argentinian midfield, winning the World Cup, winning the Copa America. Jones, mid-20s, established midfielder in this Liverpool team. Harvey Elliott, 22 years old, standout player. I want to see more of this guy on the pitch. Definitely, there is talent in him. Bajcetic, need to see more of him. Maybe he's going to be loaned out. Maybe he's going to stay. Who the hell knows? He come back from a season-long injury. Endo, don't even know if this guy's going to stay come the end of the window. And Ryan Gravenberch, who seems to be the player that Slot is moulding into a defensive mid, much like Klopp moulded Gini Wijnaldum into a defensive mid when he was a number 10 per se. So we'll see what happens there. Now, as you can clearly see, we don't have as many midfielders, but we have probably more industrious midfielders. At least I can't think of any player that any of our fans want to see gone. Maybe Szoboszlai was in for a shout, but that was more frustration, in my opinion, from his poor performances because we know there's a player in there. At least I think there's a player in there. Jones needs to step up a little bit more. Endo grafted as much as he could. Gravenberch, maybe the forgotten player under Klopp. But then you can also maybe throw in a couple of the midfielders, a couple of the forwards into the midfield line as well. Gakpo can sort of like float as a false nine or maybe in the midfield there. Jota is your striker. Nunez is your striker. Diaz are your strikers. The only players there is that there ain't much there. The depth is definitely in Manchester United's favour, 100%. I mean, they've got, 4, 8, 10 midfielders that they can pick from, but it could be a little bit scary. So I'm not saying that this is definitely going to be a thing. I mean, it may come to pass that Manchester United's midfield is better than Liverpool's. We shall see what happens. But if their midfield was bad last year, it could still be bad this year, provided they don't get Ugarte or some other midfielders to come in and take hold. If they sell McTominay, they may bring in somebody else. If they maybe want to move on, I don't know, Casemiro, or if they're going to play him in a defensive role alongside Kobe Mainoo, maybe they can bring somebody else into the midfield. It's a wait-and-see process at the moment, and Manchester United defence is in all sorts. It's been a bit of a shambles, so we'll wait and see what happens. But that's pretty much it for this one here. A little bit of a jam-packed video, but hopefully you enjoyed. And let me know your thoughts and comments down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. You be good now.